Hi, welcome back to my channel. As I continue with this message, I want you to know that it is your responsibility to vet those around you and in your lives, that it is up to you to decide to walk in spirit and in truth. After my understanding was opened up more, I asked the Lord why they would choose this country. Why would they choose to come into an agreement here? Meditate on everything that I give you to understand the answer. There are insidious reasons for this. Here are two distinct ones. Number one, at that time, the taskmasters of Pharaoh ordered the officers of the children of Israel according to the command of Pharaoh, saying, "Thus says Pharaoh, do your work each day and finish your task, and observe the daily measure of bricks. Diminish not anything. And it shall come to pass that if you are deficient in your daily bricks, I will put your young children in their stead." And the taskmasters of Egypt did so in those days as Pharaoh had ordered them. And whenever any deficiency was found in the children of Israel's measure of their daily bricks, the taskmasters of Pharaoh would go to the wives of the children of Israel and take infants of the children of Israel to the number of bricks deficient. They would take them by force from their mothers' laps and put them in the building instead of the bricks, whilst their fathers and mothers were crying over them and weeping when they heard the weeping voices of their infants in the wall of the building. Jasher 77, verses 12 through 17. Number two, and Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, "Every son that is born you shall cast it into the river, and every daughter you shall save alive." After a while, I was given the side eye, and everyone isolated me from the group. But as I am preparing this, hear the word of the Lord, that just as Noah, the eighth person, was saved. And Isaiah calls out concerning Israel, "Though the number of the sons of Israel be like the sand of the sea, it is only the remnant, a small believing minority, that will be saved from God's judgment." And again, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For you are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you." What was even more grievous to me is that only the natives to this land and Satan were privy of the danger that we were in. The group as a whole, and especially myself, because I am a servant of the Lord. It is clear that we are tolerated. They only exceed for financial gain. As this pastor and his business partner, who were generating all of this additional income for these men, were never seen sitting at their table or in their presence. I was also being shown the contempt that Americans will be subjected to, the maltreatment, subjugation, fear, and oppression many will experience living in foreign lands. I watched as one of the travelers got into verbal altercations with the Egyptian children more than once due to her lack of discernment in regard to her surroundings. Utterly clueless, failing to recognize that these people are willing to die for what they believe in. That disrespectful behavior from foreigners can lead to imprisonment and worse. And even though security interceded on her behalf, she did not possess the understanding to know that she is an outsider, the one that is considered the enemy. Afterward, while on the ship, I heard shouting outside my window. The Holy Spirit spoke to me, pirates. Looking out the window, I saw men following closely behind us in another boat. I was not aware and have very little knowledge of these historical facts about Egypt. I Googled the information and found that maritime raiders and mercenaries have been established in Egypt since at least 1390 to 1353 BC on the Nile River, where I am at the time of this writing. This is why I feared and prayed for my father's protection, as he was revealing the unknown in my presence, only wanting to make it home safely, knowing that our lives could be taken in a moment and that there was nothing meaningful that could be done about it. Let me add something that I have not revealed until now. The Holy Spirit imparted to me to buy a hidden camera detector. When we boarded the cruise ship on the Nile River, just as at the hotel, I decided to inspect my cabin. Nothing was detected in my hotel room, but aboard the vessel, my device started to alarm as I was on the phone with my daughter. The camera was hidden above the bed, either in the picture or the light fixture. I noticed that soon after and during my time on the Nile, I and my interactions with others was monitored very closely. Before I close, I want to warn the fake and phony, the lukewarm, the pretenders. God will not be mocked. For whatsoever a man sows, that shall he also reap. I have seen that the Lord will show many people that something is not right in a situation, marriage, partnership, or relationship. They will complain and fall in line with the agenda. I am going to validate this mindset while warning of the consequences. Let me add first how my father, prophesying through my daughter, comforted me. Watch them, because you aren't feeling like that for nothing. But your Lord is the Almighty and powerful, and He's watching over you. And I know that you will make it back from this trip safely. Establishing his word a second time, she said, "The Lord your God is strong and mighty." Please note that I am in a foreign country, hated by Satan, particularly when I won't yield to his agenda, despised by those around me, traveling on a river with no means of escape, nowhere to call for help. Are you hearing me? I informed my adult children of what was happening and questioned my God as to why I was in this situation. My children advised me to remain quiet and alert. Number one, the prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests rule in their own authority. And my people love to have it so. But what will you do when the end comes? Because eventually Satan will up the ante that is required of them to keep up this lifestyle. Number two, for such men are counterfeit apostles, deceitful workers, masquerading as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, since Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. So it is no great surprise if his servants also masquerade as servants of righteousness. But their end will correspond with their deeds. Do not participate or even associate with this kind. Number three, let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of God upon the children of disobedience. And again, number four, for the company of the godless is barren, and fire consumes the tents of bribery, wrong, and injustice. They conceive mischief and bring forth wickedness, and their inmost soul prepares deceit and fraud. Number five, in pride and arrogance, the wicked hotly pursue and persecute the afflicted. Let them be caught in the plots which they have devised. For the wicked boasts and sings the praises of his heart's desire, and the greedy man curses and spurns, even despises the Lord. The wicked in the haughtiness of his face will not seek nor inquire for him. All his thoughts are, there is no God, so there is no accountability or punishment. His ways prosper at all times. Your judgments, Lord, are on high, out of his sight, so he never thinks about them. As for all his enemies, he sneers at them. He says to himself, I will not be moved. Does this sound familiar? For throughout all generations, I will not be in adversity, for nothing bad will happen to me. His mouth is full of curses and deceit, fraud and oppression. Under his tongue is mischief and wickedness, injustice and sin. He lurks in ambush in the villages. Did you get that? In hiding places, he kills the innocent. He lies in wait for the unfortunate, the unhappy, the poor, the helpless. He lurks in a hiding place like a lion in his lair. He lies in wait to catch the afflicted. He catches the afflicted when he draws him into his net. He crushes his prey and crouches and the unfortunate falls by his mighty claws. He says to himself, God has quite forgotten. He has hidden his face. He will never see my deed. Number 6. For such people do not serve our Lord Christ, but their own appetites and base desires. Please listen. By smooth and flattering speech, they deceive the hearts of the unsuspecting, the innocent and naive. I reiterate that upon investigation by others, I found that we paid twice as much for this trip than others. And throughout the venture, there was excessive spending because Black people love to consume, even nominal fees that were not disclosed up front. And today, as I sat at breakfast, a lady that I was conversing with asked the pastor's wife what was on the itinerary for today. She blatantly replied, spending money. So meditate on this entire post as I close. And number 7, food gained by deceit is sweet to a man, but afterward his mouth will be filled with gravel. Just as sin may be sweet at first, but later its consequences bring despair. I could have been much more detailed, but for sake of time constraints, I will end this matter unless the Lord will have me to revisit the situation again in the future. There were many dangerous scenarios being observed: sexual immorality, prostitution, possible trafficking, to name a few. Let me say one last thing. Time is one of the most precious commodities that we have. We cannot control it, and once it is gone, we never get it back. To waste people's time secondary to being ineffective and unorganized is selfish and irresponsible. A vacation that is this costly is an investment with an expectation of reaping a return for the purchaser in a holistic manner. But was it really? As I am given discernment, everything that is done is calculated, deliberate, and intentional. This is the direst warning, and I am wrestling and praying about this without mentioning names. I am going to warn you that it is up to you to do your due diligence when vetting anyone. I care less about clicks and likes, and this may never even reach them and those that they have entered into these agreements with. If it does, just know that Jesus sees all, and although I doubt that you will, he may give you the chance for sincere repentance. I myself refuse to have any man's blood on my hands. Just know that God will not be mocked. Another trip is being planned for Ghana. What was inclusive on the trip to Egypt is greatly being slashed. I know for a certainty that the price is not. This is common sense and simple math, but I reiterate as it is written, my people love it so. For those of you who will defend him in your cultish disposition, idolizing these people of God's, because the Holy Spirit is nowhere in this. There is a thin line of mercy for those who reject God's truth, because the danger and fear for me was real, and I don't take this lightly. But when Satan and his hosts come to collect, please don't say that I didn't warn you. Please click the video links for confirmation from the Master's Voice Prophecy blog, not only to what I am saying, but why I separated myself early on from many who seem to like being and are willingly deceived. As an added note, the Holy Spirit wants me to let you know that they don't even like you like that. They feel that you are beneath them, a means to an end. Their arrogance is always on full display. This includes the First Lady and others present with them. Always coming from a place of love and in truth. And again, I humbly offer you some additional resources as the Lord is bringing them to me. As this prophet has described, given to her from God, so that you may prepare for what is to come. Click the link below. The end times are upon us, and because of my love for the Lord and my family and for you, and the great sorrow that I feel as I see those around me walking in oblivious darkness and untruths, I feel compelled to provide Celestial's teachings to you. The links are referenced but inactive on the vlogs, but are available on the blog/podcast pages of my site at BenevolentWoman.com. Please visit Celestial's site, the Master's Voice Prophecy blog. Thank you again. And because I won't have any blood on my hands, I am going to put a hashtag for who this pastor is, as the Lord is putting on my heart. Thank you again.